Hello, and welcome to the Asian Perspectives podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Loc, and today we're diving into a topic that's garnered significant attention and speculation from an Asian perspective: Vladimir Putin. Often, discussions about Putin are dominated by Western viewpoints, but today, we'll explore how leaders and citizens in Asia perceive Russia's enigmatic leader. Vladimir Putin's leadership style and policies have sparked various reactions across Asia. In some countries, particularly those with historical ties to Russia or neighboring nations, there's a sense of familiarity and understanding of Putin's approach to governance. His emphasis on stability and security resonates with leaders who prioritize these values in their own countries. However, there's also a degree of caution and skepticism surrounding Putin's actions, particularly regarding his assertive foreign policy and the use of military force in regions like Crimea and Syria. Many in Asia view these actions through the lens of regional security, considering the potential implications for stability and geopolitical dynamics in their own backyard. Additionally, Putin's efforts to strengthen ties with Asian nations, particularly through economic partnerships and diplomatic initiatives, have not gone unnoticed. Countries across the region are engaging with Russia on various fronts, from energy cooperation to infrastructure development, reflecting a pragmatic approach to international relations. At the same time, concerns persist about the compatibility of Russia's interests with those of Asian countries, especially in light of competing geopolitical influences and strategic alignments. As Asia continues to emerge as a key player in global affairs, navigating relations with Russia and understanding Putin's motives remain critical considerations for policymakers in the region. Looking ahead, the future of Russia-Asia relations and Putin's role in shaping them are subjects of great interest and speculation. Will Putin continue to prioritize strategic partnerships in Asia? Or will evolving global dynamics lead to shifts in Russia's priorities and alliances? These questions underscore the complexity of the geopolitical landscape in which Putin operates. Vladimir Putin, a figure of great intrigue and controversy, has long been a prominent player on the global stage. From his early days in the KGB to his current tenure as president of Russia, Putin's actions and policies have had far-reaching implications, not just for Russia but for the entire world. Vladimir Putin's rise to power marked a significant shift in Russian politics and foreign affairs. His background in the KGB, where he served as a lieutenant colonel, provided him with valuable experience in espionage and intelligence gathering. When Putin assumed the presidency in 1999, succeeding Boris Yeltsin, many saw him as a pragmatic and assertive leader capable of restoring stability and asserting Russia's interests on the global stage. Under Putin's leadership, Russia experienced a period of economic growth and resurgence, fueled by high oil prices and efforts to modernize the country's infrastructure. However, his presidency has also been characterized by a tightening grip on power, with crackdowns on political opposition, independent media, and civil liberties raising concerns about the state of democracy in Russia. Putin's foreign policy agenda has been marked by assertiveness and a desire to reclaim Russia's status as a global superpower. The annexation of Crimea in 2014 and Russia's military intervention in Syria demonstrated Putin's willingness to use military force to protect Russian interests and support allied regimes. These actions drew condemnation from Western countries and escalated tensions between Russia and the West to levels not seen since the Cold War. Despite facing international criticism and sanctions, Putin remains a popular figure among many Russians, who see him as a strong and decisive leader capable of defending Russia's interests in the face of external pressure. However, questions remain about the long-term sustainability of Putin's regime and Russia's ability to navigate increasingly complex geopolitical challenges in the years ahead. Putin's leadership style has been characterized by a combination of authoritarianism, nationalism, and pragmatism. He has consolidated power through a combination of political maneuvering, media control, and suppression of dissent, leading to concerns about the erosion of democratic institutions in Russia. Internationally, Putin has pursued a policy of strategic assertiveness, seeking to challenge Western dominance and expand Russia's influence in regions such as Eastern Europe, the Middle East, and Central Asia. This approach has led to a series of confrontations with Western powers, particularly the United States and European Union, over issues such as human rights abuses, election interference, and military aggression. At the same time, Putin has also sought to cultivate alliances with other major powers, including China and India, as part of his broader strategy to counterbalance Western influence and promote a multipolar world order. These partnerships have allowed Russia to enhance its economic, military, and diplomatic capabilities, while also providing a counterweight to Western-led initiatives and institutions. However, Putin's assertive foreign policy has also come with costs and risks. Russia's annexation of Crimea and support for separatist movements in eastern Ukraine have led to international isolation and economic sanctions, while its military intervention in Syria has drawn criticism for exacerbating the conflict and contributing to civilian casualties. As Putin enters his fourth term as president, questions remain about his long-term vision for Russia and its role in the world. Will he continue to pursue a confrontational approach with the West, or will he seek to improve relations and focus on domestic priorities such as economic development and social stability? The answers to these questions will shape not only the future of Russia, but also the dynamics of global politics for years to come. In many Asian countries, particularly those with historical ties to Russia or a shared border, Putin is viewed through a nuanced lens. While some admire his strong leadership and efforts to assert Russia's influence on the world stage, others express concerns about his authoritarian tendencies and aggressive foreign policies. In many Asian countries, particularly those with historical ties to Russia or a shared border, Putin is viewed through a nuanced lens. While some admire his strong leadership and efforts to assert Russia's influence on the world stage, others express concerns about his authoritarian tendencies and aggressive foreign policies. For nations in Central Asia, which were formerly part of the Soviet Union, Putin is often seen as a familiar figure who represents stability and continuity. His efforts to strengthen ties with former Soviet republics through economic partnerships and security cooperation are viewed positively by governments seeking to maintain regional stability and protect their own interests. However, there are also concerns about Russia's assertiveness in the region, particularly its interventions in conflicts such as the ongoing war in Ukraine and its support for authoritarian regimes. In places like Belarus, these actions raise questions about Russia's long-term intentions and its commitment to respecting the sovereignty of its neighbors. In East Asia, where Russia shares borders with countries like China and North Korea, perceptions of Putin are shaped by geopolitical considerations and regional dynamics. While some view Russia as a potential counterbalance to Chinese influence in the region, others worry about the implications of Russia's growing alignment with Beijing and its impact on regional stability. In Southeast Asia, where Russia has sought to expand its presence through diplomatic engagement and arms sales, perceptions of Putin vary depending on the country. While some governments welcome Russia's involvement as a way to diversify their partnerships and reduce dependence on Western powers, others are wary of Russia's intentions and its potential to destabilize the region. Putin's actions in Asia also extend beyond geopolitics to economic relations. Russia's vast reserves of natural resources, including oil and gas, make it an attractive partner for many Asian countries seeking energy security and investment opportunities. Putin has actively sought to strengthen economic ties with Asian nations through initiatives such as the Eastern Economic Forum and the Belt and Road Initiative, which aim to promote trade and infrastructure development across Eurasia. However, concerns about Russia's reliability as a trading partner and investment destination persist, particularly in light of its geopolitical tensions with the West and the imposition of sanctions on key sectors of its economy. Additionally, Russia's bureaucratic hurdles and perceived lack of transparency can deter potential investors from fully engaging with its market. Despite these challenges, Putin's efforts to court Asian partners underscore Russia's ambition to diversify its economic relationships and reduce its dependence on Western markets. Whether these efforts will succeed in the long term remains uncertain, but they reflect Putin's broader strategy to position Russia as a key player in the global economy and secure its place as a major power in the Asia-Pacific region. In conclusion, Vladimir Putin's influence in Asia is multifaceted and complex, shaped by a combination of geopolitical, economic, and historical factors. While some view him as a strong and pragmatic leader capable of advancing Russia's interests on the world stage, others remain skeptical of his intentions and concerned about the implications of his actions for regional stability and security. As Putin continues to navigate the challenges and opportunities in Asia, his legacy in the region will be defined by his ability to balance competing interests and maintain Russia's relevance in an increasingly interconnected world. One key aspect of Putin's presidency that resonates with many Asians is his emphasis on stability and national security. In a region marked by geopolitical tensions and power struggles, Putin's unwavering stance on issues like territorial integrity and defense resonates with leaders who prioritize security above all else. For countries in Asia facing territorial disputes or security challenges, Putin's commitment to defending Russia's borders and asserting its sovereignty serves as a model of strong leadership in the face of external threats. His assertive approach to safeguarding Russia's interests, whether through military deployments or diplomatic negotiations, is seen as a necessary response to the complex security environment in which many Asian nations find themselves. Moreover, Putin's efforts to modernize Russia's military capabilities and invest in defense infrastructure resonate with leaders who seek to enhance their own country's defense capabilities in the face of evolving security threats. By prioritizing national security, Putin reinforces the importance of maintaining a strong and capable military to deter potential aggressors and protect territorial integrity. Additionally, Putin's emphasis on stability and order resonates with leaders in Asia who value continuity and predictability in international relations. In a region often characterized by political instability and uncertainty, Putin's leadership style, which prioritizes maintaining internal cohesion and projecting strength externally, is seen as a source of reassurance and stability. However, while many Asian leaders may admire Putin's strong leadership and commitment to national security, there are also concerns about the methods he employs to maintain control and suppress dissent. Critics argue that Putin's authoritarian tendencies and crackdowns on political opposition undermine democratic values and human rights, raising questions about the long-term implications of his leadership for Russia and the wider region. Overall, Putin's emphasis on stability and national security resonates with many Asian leaders who prioritize security and order in their own countries. However, the extent to which his leadership model is applicable or desirable in the diverse political and cultural contexts of Asia remains a subject of debate and discussion. However, Putin's actions in regions such as Crimea and Syria have also sparked debate and concern among Asian policymakers. While some view Russia's interventions as necessary steps to protect its interests and allies, others worry about the destabilizing effects of military intervention and the erosion of international norms. For those Asian policymakers who support Russia's interventions, particularly in Crimea, there is a recognition of what they perceive as Russia's legitimate security concerns and historical ties to the region. They argue that Russia's annexation of Crimea was a response to the political instability and perceived threat posed by the Ukrainian government's pro-Western orientation. From this perspective, Russia's actions were aimed at safeguarding the rights and interests of ethnic Russians and ensuring stability in its neighboring region. Similarly, some Asian policymakers view Russia's military intervention in Syria as a necessary measure to combat terrorism and support the government of President Bashar al-Assad. They argue that Russia's involvement in Syria has helped to stabilize the country and prevent the spread of extremism, thereby protecting Russia's strategic interests in the Middle East. From this viewpoint, Russia's actions in Syria are seen as a legitimate exercise of its right to defend its allies and maintain regional stability. However, there are also concerns among Asian policymakers about the broader implications of Russia's interventions for international security and the rule-based order. Critics argue that Russia's annexation of Crimea and military intervention in Syria represent violations of international law and norms, undermining the principles of sovereignty and territorial integrity. They worry that Russia's actions set a dangerous precedent for other countries to pursue their interests through military force, potentially leading to further conflicts and instability in the region and beyond. Moreover, there are concerns about the impact of Russia's interventions on global efforts to promote peace, security, and human rights. Some Asian policymakers worry that Russia's support for authoritarian regimes and use of military force to suppress dissent could embolden other authoritarian leaders and weaken international efforts to uphold democratic values and human rights. In conclusion, while some Asian policymakers may support Russia's interventions in regions such as Crimea and Syria, others are deeply concerned about the broader implications of these actions for international security and the rule-based order. The debate over Russia's role in these conflicts reflects the complex geopolitical dynamics and competing interests at play in the Asia-Pacific region, and underscores the need for continued dialogue and diplomacy to address the underlying causes of conflict and instability. From an economic standpoint, Putin's Russia presents both opportunities and challenges for Asian countries. On one hand, Russia's vast reserves of natural resources, including oil, gas, and minerals, present lucrative opportunities for trade and investment for Asian nations seeking to secure energy resources and diversify their economic partnerships. Additionally, Russia's large consumer market, with its growing middle class and appetite for imported goods, offers Asian businesses the potential for expanded market access and increased profits. Furthermore, Russia's strategic location as a gateway between Europe and Asia positions it as a key transit hub for trade and transportation, providing Asian countries with access to European markets via overland routes such as the Trans-Siberian Railway and the Northern Sea Route. This geographical advantage presents opportunities for Asian countries to strengthen their economic ties with both Russia and Europe, potentially enhancing regional economic integration and cooperation. However, despite these opportunities, there are also significant challenges that Asian countries may face when engaging with the Russian economy. One major concern is the prevalence of corruption and bureaucratic hurdles in Russia. which can complicate business dealings and deter potential investors from fully engaging with the Russian market. The perceived lack of transparency and rule of law in Russia's business environment can create uncertainties and increase the risks associated with doing business in the country. Additionally, geopolitical risks, such as Russia's strained relations with Western countries and its involvement in conflicts in regions such as Ukraine and Syria, can further deter potential partners from fully committing to economic cooperation with Russia. Concerns about the potential for sanctions or other punitive measures imposed by Western countries in response to Russia's actions can create uncertainty and discourage investment in the Russian economy. Moreover, Russia's economic dependence on energy exports, particularly oil and gas, makes its economy vulnerable to fluctuations in global commodity prices, exposing Asian countries to risks associated with commodity market volatility. This dependence on natural resources also limits the diversification of Russia's economy and constrains its ability to attract investment in other sectors, such as technology, manufacturing, and services. In conclusion, while Putin's Russia offers opportunities for Asian countries to deepen economic cooperation and access valuable resources and markets, there are also significant challenges and risks that must be carefully considered. Addressing issues such as corruption, bureaucratic inefficiencies, and geopolitical tensions will be essential to realizing the full potential of economic engagement between Russia and Asia and fostering sustainable and mutually beneficial economic partnerships. As we look to the future, questions remain about Putin's long-term vision for Russia and its role in Asia and beyond. Will he continue to assert Russia's influence through military intervention and strategic alliances? Or will he prioritize diplomacy and cooperation to address pressing global challenges such as climate change and pandemics? Putin's approach to Russia's role in Asia and beyond will likely be shaped by a combination of geopolitical considerations, domestic priorities, and global dynamics. On one hand, Putin may choose to continue asserting Russia's influence through military intervention and strategic alliances, particularly in regions where Russia perceives its interests to be threatened or where it seeks to maintain a foothold in strategic areas such as the Middle East and Eastern Europe. This assertive approach could involve further military engagements, diplomatic maneuvers, and support for allies and proxies to advance Russia's geopolitical objectives and counterbalance the influence of rival powers such as the United States and China. Additionally, Putin may seek to strengthen partnerships with countries in Asia and beyond that share Russia's strategic interests and geopolitical outlook, potentially forming new alliances and security arrangements to enhance Russia's position on the global stage. However, Putin may also recognize the importance of diplomacy and cooperation in addressing pressing global challenges such as climate change and pandemics. Russia's participation in international efforts to combat these issues could enhance its reputation as a responsible global actor and improve its relations with other countries, particularly in regions where Russia's influence may be waning or where cooperation is essential for addressing shared threats and vulnerabilities. Moreover, prioritizing diplomacy and cooperation could also offer Russia economic benefits and opportunities for enhanced engagement with other countries, particularly in areas such as trade, investment, and technology transfer. By seeking mutually beneficial solutions to global challenges, Putin could position Russia as a constructive partner in regional and global affairs, fostering greater stability and prosperity for all parties involved. Ultimately, the future direction of Putin's Russia will depend on a complex interplay of domestic and international factors, including the evolving geopolitical landscape, economic trends, and societal dynamics. While Putin's leadership style and strategic priorities may continue to shape Russia's role in Asia and beyond, the extent to which Russia asserts its influence through military means or prioritizes diplomacy and cooperation remains uncertain and subject to change in response to shifting circumstances and priorities. Whatever the future holds, one thing is certain: Vladimir Putin will continue to shape the geopolitical landscape for years to come, and his actions will continue to be closely watched and analyzed from an Asian perspective. Putin's strategic decisions, whether they involve military interventions, diplomatic maneuvers, or economic initiatives, have significant implications for countries across Asia, from Central Asia to the Pacific region. In Central Asia, where Russia maintains strong historical and cultural ties, Putin's policies can influence regional dynamics and shape the balance of power among neighboring countries. Similarly, in East Asia, where Russia shares borders with major powers like China and North Korea, Putin's actions have direct implications for regional security and stability. Asian countries closely monitor Russia's engagement with these neighboring states and assess the potential risks and opportunities associated with Russia's strategic objectives in the region. Moreover, Russia's growing presence in Southeast Asia, through diplomatic initiatives, arms sales, and economic partnerships, further underscores the importance of understanding Putin's agenda and its implications for regional dynamics. As Russia seeks to expand its influence in the Asia-Pacific region, Asian countries must navigate the complexities of balancing their relationships with Russia against competing interests and alliances with other major powers. Putin's leadership style, characterized by pragmatism, assertiveness, and a focus on national security, resonates with some Asian leaders who prioritize stability and order in their own countries. However, concerns about Russia's authoritarian tendencies, human rights abuses, and aggressive foreign policies also shape Asian perceptions of Putin and his role in global affairs. As Putin continues to assert Russia's influence on the world stage, Asian countries will need to carefully assess the implications of his actions for their own security, prosperity, and interests. By closely monitoring developments in Russia and engaging in constructive dialogue with Russian counterparts, Asian nations can better navigate the complex geopolitical landscape and promote peace, stability, and cooperation in the region and beyond. That's all for today's episode of the Asian Perspectives podcast. I'm Dr. Loc. Thank you for tuning in, and until next time, take care.